Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the afternoon session of the Board of County Commission here in Seminole County. It is January 28th at approximately 1:30. We're moving into the afternoon session. Is there anyone here by chance for the item that was to be heard in zoning today, Lake Forest Terracina project? If there's anyone here for that hearing, that matter has been withdrawn by the applicant, so there will not be a hearing on that matter on the Terracina rezoning application. So with that said, we will move to number 34, but I'll look for proof of publications first.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Any ex parte disclosure on this item, number 34?
None to report.
On 34, none.
None in my office either. Okay, we will move forward with item number 34, Code of Ordinance amended to Chapter 520, Traffic. This will be Maya Thanis that will be presenting. Maya, I'm sorry. Please
Maya.
proceed.
Good afternoon, Maya Athanas, Senior Planner for the Planning and Development Division. This item is a request to consider an ordinance amending Article 7 of Chapter 250, Traffic, of the Seminole County Code, amending Sections 250.75, truck parking in residentially zoned districts to be consistent with the Land Development Code, Section 30.9.4, truck parking in residential zone districts. On January 9th, 2024, Seminole County adopted Ordinance 2024-2, repealing and replacing Chapter 30 of the Land Development Code. Ordinance 2024-2 adopted changes to Chapter 30, Part 9, Section 30.9.4, truck parking in residential zone districts to increase the gross vehicle weight of trucks parked in residentially zoned areas from 2 tons to 14,000 pounds, and to exclude personal pickup trucks and recreational vehicles from weight and classification limitations. This change aligned the county's regulations with modern personal truck types and sizes. This amendment of the Code of Ordinances is necessary to be consistent with the previously adopted amendment to Section 30.9.4 of the Land Development Code. Adoption of this ordinance will ensure a consistent regulatory scheme for truck parking in residential districts. And with that, staff requests the board adopt the ordinance amending Article 7 of Chapter 250 of the Seminole County Code of Ordinances, amending Section 250.75, truck parking in residentially zoned districts. And staff is available for any questions.
Thank you very much. We'll start at the far end. Commissioner Constantine.
Okay, this is not against your big trucks, Commissioner.
But
Go ahead.
But you are focusing on him.
But I am not focusing on him. But we're talking about, from this little thing that I've requested earlier from Mr. Gomez, we're talking about Class 3 and below. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would be classes 1 through 3.
Where are we today?
So these regulations are already in effect. They were adopted in the Land Development Code. So this is really just a cleanup item to be consistent with the regulations today.
Okay, so you can park anything on the Class 3 in your, we just went over the code enforcement earlier today, and Mike gave us a great, information. So I want to make sure, since this is one of the things in code enforcement that everybody questions or complains about sometimes. So I just want to make sure we all know what we're going for. So a small FedEx truck could be parked in the driveway?
If you don't mind, let me...
Okay. I want to make sure that we know exactly what we're going for.
Yeah, so typically, like a UPS truck is rated for 16,000 pounds, so that would be above the Class 3. A smaller vehicle, it depends on what that GVWR classification is on that. And one of the recommendations that, a clarification that we'd be comfortable with is making sure that we indicate that it's GVWR, the gross vehicle weight, to add that in there so that there is no question about that.
And, Mr. Chairman, I just want to be clear, so this is not trying to, this is not being objectionable, this is just trying to make sure that we all know what we're voting for. So I'm looking here at a W3500 wrecker is 2,000 pounds. So a wrecker could be parked in the driveway.
So long as it's, and I don't know which one specifically you're looking at, but so long as it's 14,000 pounds or less.
This is 12,000 pounds. It's a GMC W3500 wrecker.
So based on the regulations, yes, that truck could be, if that's the rating for it, it could be parked in a residential district.
Okay, I just want everybody to understand that. Go ahead.
May I try to help on that?
Okay, yes.
Only because.
You're the big truck guy.
Depth of knowledge in this. The ordinance needs to state gross vehicle weight rating as published by the OEM manufacturer. And there's a number of reasons for that. And the answer is yes, there are FedEx trucks that have a GVWR less than 14,000 pounds. They're not the big delivery trucks you see, but they're like the smaller box trucks. They have like 4 classifications. One's like a local delivery, and the other's another bigger size local delivery. It would not be like a big box truck, by example, that furniture companies use to deliver. Most of those are 16,000 and above. But there are delivery services, such as Amazon and others, that have GVWRs or gross vehicle weight less than 14, or more than 14,000 and less than 14,000. So if the goal is to keep tractor-trailer tractors, which is the tractor that pulls the trailer without the trailer, or bigger box trucks and those kinds of things, then it should say GVWR. So by example, the W200 tow truck you're referring to probably has a GVWR of maybe around 16,000, 17,000 pounds.
And I appreciate that. It's just that from what I received,
Understood.
it's 12,000 pounds.
Understood.
Which would be under.
And that's why I think it's best, if we leave it as gross vehicle weight only, by example, a Peterbilt tractor that pulls a trailer has a gross vehicle weight of 12,000 pounds. I don't think we want tractors, commercial tractors, parked in residential areas.
That's what I'm concerned about.
So GVWR as published by the OEM manufacturer, which is easy to point to, it's on the build sheet inside the front door of every vehicle that's manufactured. You can open it up, you can look at it, they can take a picture of it. The GVWR is dictated by the manufacturer.
And Mr. Chairman, since we started at my end, I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure we're not opening a can of worms.
Correct.
When we're talking about, code enforcement, again, we all know that's probably the biggest single question calls we get, that in roads. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands, what we're actually agreeing to. And I appreciate Mr. Gomez trying to clarify it, but in many ways, doing it just at the 14,000 pounds because we all want to be consistent, kind of concerned because there's different vehicles, and it's more like what vehicle it is. A trailer or a wrecker, I'm sure that I would get a phone call from, if it was in the Springs parking.
Sure.
Their driveway, I would get a phone call.
Right,
just to
right.
use an example. I just want to make sure that we know what we're voting for to be consistent.
Sure, so that's why I suggest we add GVWR as published by the manufacturer, which is the rating of the vehicle of its passengers, its cargo, and its fuel, and the actual weight of vehicle combined, total weight. In other words, you weigh the truck with no passengers or anything in the back of the truck, it might only weigh 8,000 pounds, which means you can put 16 or 6,000 more pounds of cargo or people in it.
And
a
again,
full
I just
tank of
want
fuel.
everybody to, talk about it again,
Sure.
so we're all consistent in where we're thinking.
Understood. Okay. Okay, we'll come down here to Commissioner Hurd, then we'll go back the other way.
Well, I just have a question related to the conversation. So what are you looking at?
I was going to, Jose, why don't
That's
you put that?
12,000 pounds, and none of us are privy to
I just
it.
received this morning,
Cool.
And it was based on a question that I had, and
Got
I
it.
did not know that anybody else didn't get it. And maybe that's because, Mr. Gomez.
Some of us have been running around like crazy people
Can you
doing
pass it
filming
down?
for.
Yeah, and I'll pass it down.
With a flooded building.
And then the pictures, and I just showed it Commissioner Lockhart, so.
So what I'm trying to distinguish is Peterbilt 12,000 to this document, there's discrepancies. So is what
There
you're
is not.
referring to on the inside of the door, well, they're.
The discrepancy is in the way the ordinance is currently drafted.
So can I finish?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think whatever tow truck Commissioner Constantine referred to was 12,000, which is under 14,000.
It's right in there.
And you're indicating that it would not fall into that category if we used your measurement of weight. So that's why I'm trying to
There it is.
reconcile the difference.
No, what I said was a W-200 wrecker could have a GVWR greater than 14,000.
Oh, but it doesn't always. So we
Correct.
can park tow trucks in driveways.
Correct.
Your reference to calls from the Springs,
Just use that as an example.
okay, so I just want it on the record that homeowners associations have separate governing rules, and you should call them. And they should make rules that might be different than this for those of us that live in those communities.
All right, Commissioner Lockhart.
So not to be the wet blanket, but I think that we already decided what we wanted the limits to be in the comprehensive plan, right? When we made those changes. And so this is just codifying it in the other associated document, and we want to make sure that they're consistent. Is that right?
That's correct. And by adding the GVWR, we would have a little bit of an inconsistency with the land development code, but at the same time, we can bring the land development code back to make that consistent in the
So
future.
I guess I would ask, is it staff's recommendation that we add that here and go back and amend the other? Or what does staff recommend that we do?
At this time, we would recommend, if the motion is made, to add that language for the GVWR as from the OEM, from the manufacturer, because that is a definable weight that we can refer to, that there won't be these arguments back and forth, and then we'll bring back the land development code with that additional language inserted in there when we come back with the amendments.
So we were out of whack, we're going to fix it to be still out of whack, but then we're going to fix it again and we'll be in simpatico.
Less out of whack, and then
Got
we'll
it.
get it.
Well, I'll just note too, Jose, I'm sorry if I could interject.
Yes.
This is in the enforcement arm of your Code of Ordinances regulations. So the fact that we're adding a defining term makes it, this is how they will determine whether or not to enforce and how to enforce. So as soon as this is made, we can start enforcing it. We don't have to go back and
Okay.
fix the land development code because they're basically the same. This is just giving us direction on how to enforce and what we look at when we're going to enforce it.
Understood. And then if we want to come back and have another head-spinning conversation about vehicles at a later date during another episode of comprehensive plan amendments, we could do that.
You can do as you please.
You could give yourself
All of
brain
you
damage
together,
once,
not
let's
you
just
as a
say.
single, but all of you together, as the majority pleases.
Sounds good.
Commissioner Talari?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have no problem with the 12,000, but the only clarification.
14.
Okay, so we mentioned 12, because that's the reason when I was talking about 14.
Constantine.
Because 14 goes up to Class 3. And
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure we're clear, because one of us was mentioning 12,000.
Correct.
And I just want to make sure that we're going to do all of Class 3, which is up to 14.
Correct.
That's all.
Commissioner Herr?
I'm ready to make the motion.
Okay. Well, I would just say, if you go back and listen to the tape on the land development code, I was pretty persistent on GVWR and some other things, but I was on the short end of that stick, but I think we're going to run into an enforcement issue. I think this gives a consistency with not only Florida statute, it gives consistency with the agency, it gives the ability for enforcement to point to the manufacturer's decal on the actual vehicle to prove to the owner, the manufacturer of this vehicle says X. You can say whatever you want. The trouble with that is, there's Florida statutes that dictates if it's not used for commercial use, if I have a vehicle that's rated at 30,000 GVWR, I can come in and say, well, it's not commercial, I'm going to use it for personal, and I want it licensed and tagged and registered under 10,000 GVWR. So this takes all those arguments away in my mind. So if we have ready for a motion, Commissioner Herr?
Move that we adopt the ordinance amending Article 7, Parking Regulations of Chapter 250, Traffic of the Seminole County Code, amending Section 250.75, Truck Parking in Residentially Zoned Districts, to be consistent with the Land Development Code 30.9.4, Truck Parking in Residential Zone Districts.
I'll second that with an amendment if the motioner will agree to add GVWR as indicated by the original equipment manufacturer of the vehicle.
Agreed.
Any further questions? Yeah. Any further questions? Anybody here from the public to talk about park trucking in the code and ordinance?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. I saw some other folks step in and make sure there's nobody here for the State Road 46 Lake Forest Terracina hearing that was scheduled for today. Nope. Okay. That has been withdrawn, so there will be no hearing on that matter. All right, next up is the county attorney's report. Ms. Latour.
Just wanted to quickly follow up on
an action I asked for your permission to undertake last time to participate in a tax deed sale for purposes of acquiring a property for the Midway project. We successfully bid on that property. We were in a back and forth bidding war, but we were successful. We got the property for market value, which was right around $40,000, but fret not, all that extra money because of our lien gets paid to the county anyway, so the actual out-of-pocket was just to pay off the past due taxes, which is also county money. So it just, one more piece of the puzzle to get that Midway project moving has been accomplished.
Great.
Great news.
Any questions on that? Anything else?
That's it.
All right, we will move to county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Just one item. You have noticed on this past Monday that I sent an email to all of you giving you a follow-up report of the last board meeting. It's a new, I say new year, new me, in a sense that I was thinking, okay, for this year, see how this will go over the next couple of months, see if it's helpful for us to ensure that we're all on the same page, and I'm following up with all the items that you are asking us to, and that we're all on a consensus, that we're all good at that, haven't missed anything. My goal is by Friday of this week, so the Friday following the board meeting, that I will send you a follow-up from the board meeting just to make sure I've covered everything. You will notice on there that there are some things that we can answer right away, but there's other things that we will need, more time, and my office is keeping track of that, so we'll be following up with each of you. So it's a new technique, I thought, just to ensure that we're all singing off the same sheet of paper.
That's a good idea.
Great.
And please make sure we share any of the outcomes
Yes.
or investigation that we've sent you on with all the commissioners.
Will do.
Good. Any questions, the county manager, on those issues? Seeing none, we will move to district reports. However, before we do that, I am going to ask the board, pursuant to Section 2.160 of the board policies, I'd like a motion to reconsider item number 20 of the January 14th, 2024 board meeting, the Panther Street right-of-way vacation. This item would then come back before the board once the item has been properly noticed, and that is in the form of a motion.
I would second it, but I voted for it the first time, so against it.
It was a unanimous vote to deny, so any commissioner can make the motion to reconsider.
Oh, was it unanimous?
Yeah.
My notes said it was unanimous
Okay,
anyway.
that's right. It was the church one that I voted against. Yeah.
So I give that to you to form motion. Second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Thank you all very much. District Commissioner reports is District 5, Commissioner Herr.
Yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out to the IT training team, and thank you. I took the Excel 201 class in person. Hannah, Jennerine, and Terry Thompson did a great job of teaching it. I'm actually rather proficient at Excel and learned about 6 new time-saving trips just by sitting there for an hour, so I would highly recommend it. Small class, individualized attention, it's all the things that you want when you pay a lot of money for training, and we offer it right here at the county to all of our employees for free. So it is a career development opportunity. I don't know what they're offering next. They did tell me. I didn't write it down, so I clearly am not that good of a student, but keep an eye out for their information. The next item is one for consideration. In watching what's happening, the just horrible situation that's happening in California, and the pressure on the local entities after the fact of a tragedy of that size to figure out how to permit in an expedited methodology, I would like for us to either evaluate what we already have around expedited permitting in case of an emergency, to be defined, or bring back what we think we should be doing before we need it. So, entire subdivision that ends up in trouble because of flooding, I mean, they're but for the grace of God. So let's do it before we're under the pressure to do it. And so I would just offer that as a thought to be proactive.
I would support review of that process. We already do and have done tolling and expedition. Maybe we need to look and see if that's really all the tools we have or whatever it could be. So I'm happy to see that through.
And then I have heard through community that there is a nonprofit symposium in the planning. I'm suspecting you're going to talk about that.
Amen.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Next up is District 1, Commissioner Delary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Value Adjustment Board, which I'm the chair of, has a citizen, my name is Sean Bart. Need to reappoint him for another term. There's no objections, or do we want to bring back other?
What was it?
Sean's?
Sean Barth.
Sean Barth. Okay, got it.
His reappointment, his appointment is up. We have to reappoint. Either we can look at other applications. If there's no objections, I would have no problem reappointing him. Didn't know what the flavor of the board would like.
If that's a motion, I'll make a second.
Then I make the motion to reappoint Mr. Bart.
Is that all the appointments you have?
That's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous.
Great. I also want to thank Alan Harris and Allison Thal. I know with these cold weathers, there's been a lot of issues out there with the individuals that need to find either shelter or a warm place. I want to thank them for all their hard work. I know their staff has been very diligent about that. I know we've all referred people to them periodically throughout the past month or so, and I just wanted to thank them publicly, their staff, for all their hard work that they're doing. I also want to acknowledge, I know we did it earlier today, but I'd be remiss by not following through and acknowledging Commissioner Lockhart on her birthday. So happy birthday again.
I feel so seen
You
and
should.
loved.
You
You have
should.
no idea.
You
Thank
should.
you.
I was going to light like 50 candles on a cake,
but
but
the
was
fire- but the fire
advised that the
chief said
fire
no.
chief said
Said
no.
no.
And the efficiency on me, I was just going to get a 5 and a 0.
We were told by the fire chief.
No, all right.
Too many.
That's all right.
Too many.
I know at one point in the past, I know a couple of us have brought this up, I'd like to know, or put expedite, when we were talking about fluoride on our agenda. I know several of us have brought it up. I just want to make sure that it's still somewhere in the agenda process schedule.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're working on that, and I'll bring it back to the board.
End of my report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Commissioner Constantine, District 3.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of things. First of all, the Florida Association of Counties is having their Tech Summit starting tomorrow through Friday. And also, the Seminole County Arts Council is going to have their Taste of the Arts Gala on February 1st in Castleberry. Also, there is the Greek Orthodox Cathedral is having a table extraordinaire fundraiser. And also, there is going to be Central Florida Hotel and Lodging State of the Tourism and Hospitality, which I know that we participate in, that's going on February 6th. I think so many people have wished Commissioner Lockhart birthday. I will not. Already have.
So
There goes that special day.
I want my chocolate back.
Commissioner Constantine, is there a reason why you not wishing for birthday?
I already did, that's.
Just want to make sure.
But we also, I just wanted everybody to know, February 2nd is Groundhog Day. February
What are you trying to
6th.
tell us?
February 6th is Ronald Reagan Day. And February 9th, I think that I know that Commissioner Herb, being from the Philadelphia area, is going to be rooting for the Eagles. But, we're going to have a great Super Bowl on the 9th. So hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful time until I see you all again.
A little eagle tattoo right here.
Say that again. Say it again. Say the word eagle.
I want to hear the tattoo
Now,
part.
my mother being from that part of the country, as well as Commissioner Herb just did, they call them eagles.
Yeah.
They don't say eagles,
Well,
eagles.
you see, the mayor couldn't spell it, so there's,
That's it, sir.
very good. Commissioner Lockhart, District 4.
My, so, the Central Florida Scottish Highland Games went off beautifully last weekend, 2 weekends ago,
2
whenever it
weekends
was.
ago, something like that.
Was another great event. I think there are continued opportunities for the county and the city to collaborate in making sure that that event continues to be hosted here in Seminole County. I know the county manager is working with our team to try and figure out what the economic impact is of that event in our county each year. One thing that I will put on the record this year that I did not put on the record last year, but since they've done it now 2 years in a row, I feel that they deserve a public flogging. The Hilton, which is the host hotel in Altamont Springs for the games and the sponsored dinner on Friday night, has now 2 years in a row run out of Guinness. And I just don't know how any entity in the hospitality field can know they have the Scottish Highland Games coming and run out of Guinness. That just seems like we can do better. So
And you can't use tariffs as an excuse yet.
that's my shout out to the Hilton. Do better.
We have to have our priorities.
That's right. They didn't run out of whiskey. They ran out of Guinness.
That sounds like an attendee problem.
Right.
Maybe.
100%.
That sounds like a prioritization
Maybe.
situation.
The Seminole County Public Schools and Seminole State College host annually a joint work session, which was held last week as well. And one of the topics that I brought up was the opportunity for microtransit for our students, both Seminole County Public School students who are duly enrolled to get to campus. And so there was a lot of interest in that. So I told them to please be on the lookout for folks from our team reaching out to both of them to see in this process how we can coordinate and communicate what would be best for them. They were very excited. Along the lines of transportation, the Central Florida Commuter Rail Commission met last week, and I am the new chair representing Seminole County on the Central Florida Commuter Rail Commission.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was my turn. You know, it's a rotation thing, so it was Seminole County's turn. One of the things that I would love to be able to do, along with, I believe it was the City of Orlando that has already committed to a contribution toward the PD&E study of the Sunshine Corridor, is that is one of the things that we need to accomplish this year, is having all of the partners that are involved in the corridor contribute in some fashion toward that PD&E to match the $2 million that FDOT is putting up. So there is no specified number. There's a suggested contribution from DOT of what that might be per entity. Right now, only Orlando has made public their contribution, so it would be good for us as Seminole County, since we have expressed support, to go ahead and get that done. I don't know if that means we have to agenda it,
Mr.
or
Chairman, what would the recommendation of the chair of Sunrail recommend?
$500,000 from Seminole County to be contributed toward the PD&E.
Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be appropriate, either we agendize it, or if we can approve it now, we should be able to do it. But I think since the chairman of Sunrail is recommending it to us, we should follow her lead.
So, Question.
Sure.
Last time I interacted with that entire group, it was my understanding Orange County was going to be the applicant through FTRA, looking for those grant funds to come in to do that. Is that no longer the case?
So in order for the application to even be considered favorably, every one of the partners needs to to show some, we'll call it skin in the game.
Right.
And so who the applicant is doesn't change the need for all of us to participate.
Okay, because the last time we went visit this, we were asked to consider a resolution to support what they were doing, which we did.
Right.
And my interaction with Orange County and the mayor of Orlando was that was all being handled from a funding through the ask to the FTRA, and the applicant on behalf of our local private partner was going to be Orange County because they needed a government entity to be the actual acting applicant. So that's all different now? Or something's changed? Or they've discovered maybe new stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, I wish Brajesh was here because he would be able to just so succinctly explain it all, and I'm phoning a friend. There have been some after a field trip to Atlanta where they met with the feds, representatives from each of the entities went and had conversations. They found what would be the best route to move forward, and I do not believe that Orange County is the applicant now.
Okay.
Unless I have completely misunderstood my briefings with the Secretary of Transportation. The last time I believe we met with Secretary Tyler was Tim Jex and Christian Swenson and, okay, John Slaughter, are you nodding your head yes? Am I? Okay. Would you be willing to come forward?
They're pointing at
on his
each
way.
other. Look at them back
I
there.
know. Don't all
Pointing at
run
each
down
other. John's
together.
the newest, you're in the bucket.
I certainly don't want to give misinformation, but my sense is that we do have a couple of hurdles that we need to work on, but the most important and immediate need for us to move forward is that everybody be in some participating fashion.
Yes, ma'am. So, John Slott, Public Works Director, for the record. So as Commissioner Lockhart has articulated, the requester of the PD&E study would be FDOT, and they have requested that each of the funding partners show some financial support in addition to their $2 million, as well as some of the private sector to come in as well.
Yes.
So with that said, has Universal still maintained their commitment to donate property and assist building, or pretty much building the station?
As I understand it, Chairman, yes, they have, and
Okay.
to the point of the land, as well as the transfer center that would be there.
Right, contribution.
Adjacent to I-Drive.
So Orange County is no longer the applicant
The
to the
applicant-
FTRA?
Yeah, so from the Federal Transit Administration perspective, the applicant of the PD&E would be the Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay. All right.
So Brajesh has become my new best friend. And he just walked up behind you.
Yeah.
And I will also say, Brajesh did a wonderful job presenting an item before the Commuter Rail Commission last week that allowed us to hire an attorney. So we're getting to be a real live organization with contracts, and the attorney apparently was one of the most important things we could do besides getting a bank account. So bank account and then attorney in the order of priority. So thank you. Can you add anything and help clarify where we are with this?
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning
part.
portion of it.
I'm pretty sure Brajesh was in the middle of an interview for an intern. So I just yanked him away from that, but the other attorneys are stepping in. So you might just need to let him know what your question was.
So I posed to the board that we are looking for contributions from the local government funding partners to match FDOT's $2 million for the PD&E study. And Commissioner Delary asked, well, how much do you think? And I said 500,000 would be the number that's been suggested, the recommended contribution, and then Commissioner Zembauer questioned the process and where Orange County was in terms of being the applicant and where all of that stands. And I tried to answer, and I wanted to make sure I answered correctly.
Sure. So for the record, Brajesh Patel, Senior Assistant County Attorney. The estimated amount that we've been told for the PD&E study from FDOT is roughly $6 million. I believe there's been a commitment by DOT to fund $2 million of that. There may be one or two jurisdictions that have also committed to fund about $500,000 each. I believe those jurisdictions are Orange County and City of Orlando. I don't know if there's anything in writing as far as that goes. I know there's been discussions about it. And so there's also been discussions about funding being given from the private sector as well in the amount of $500,000. So it's been suggested, there's nothing been in writing to say this is absolutely the amount we need to give, but the $500,000 seems to be the number that's been discussed.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Herr had her hand up.
I did. So you answered one of the questions, and it sounds like the other organizations are coming in at 500,000 plus the private sector coming in at 500,000. I'm guessing all of that adds up to 6 million somewhere along the way?
It should if everyone contributes.
If everybody's in the
500.
game. Okay. The next thing that I would like to say is to the intern that you left to come down here is that it's a candidate, okay, candidate. There are no guarantees of offers, but we would love to have you at the county. We are so sorry to pull your interviewer away from you. But this is the real life. And then the last thing that I would ask is this something that we can move now?
I mean, I would defer to Commissioner Lockhart or Brajesh. Are they asking for us to make this commitment now?
Well, that's not my question. My question is legally, can this board make this vote now?
Oh, yes. Yes, you
Okay.
may. I'm sorry, I
So
misunderstood.
was yours a motion?
Mine was a motion. Be more than happy to do it, but I have a question as well to
Okay,
the
so now
chairman of-
we're in official discussion.
I have a question for the chairman of Sunrail. So I fully support this, obviously, since I've helped make the motion. I think it's important, not only important, but imperative that we do this. The question that I have is time. I don't want us to move forward with a PD&E and this take 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Because PD&Es can go on for a long period of time.
Right.
We've already done one PD&E a number of years ago, so this is more like an in-depth refresh, which I get. I think the dollar figure is very reasonable. My question is that as we move forward, and I know you will do this, but, keep it moving so that it doesn't go beyond a 1.5 to 2 year period. If we can do it quicker, I'd love that.
Sure, I agree completely. I think one of the things that we have all talked about, and Secretary Tyler verbalized his goals for this next year, the things that he would like to help us accomplish. The PD&E for the Sunshine Corridor is something that we need to keep moving separate and apart from how things are moving forward with the transition of
That's
Sunrail. They're kind of working concurrently on different tracks, but we need to keep both of them moving. And I do think that with this next year, with having so many staff engaged from each of the entities now, I think there's a CFO working group, there's an attorney working group that had not been in existence before. I think having everybody having a seat around the table from each of the groups is going to help make sure that things stay on track. So I'm encouraged. I hesitate, as we all do, to put time frames on anything because there's some sensitive areas that this PD&E, that this study is going to be, looking at, and you just never know what might happen. You can't predict, but it is certainly the verbalized intention of the Commuter Rail Commission to get this moving forward quickly.
Commissioner Lockhart, if I may.
Yes.
I think it'll also depend on the total amount of funding that's ultimately contributed by everyone, because if it's not the full PD&E study that's been envisioned with the use of the $6 million, then there might be discussions about a tailored version of that, and which make it done quicker than whatever the time frame for a full study is.
Very good point.
All right, and that was going to be my question. I'd like to know what are all the partners engaged and willing to put up their quote 500,000? And has there been any discussion about, similar to Sunrail, some prop share number based on some calculation, whether it's, benefit to each or, track miles or any of the other things that have been contemplated?
I think, Mr. Chairman?
I'd like to know that, if there's been any.
There has-
Commissioner Constantine had his hand up first. Commissioner Delory.
My question or concern was similar, because we know that from what we're talking about right now, and I just was taking it from yourself and also from Commissioner Lockhart, that Orange County and Orlando have committed. DOT has committed to $2 million, so that's $3 million. You said private sector would, another $500,000.
That's been discussed, yes.
Okay, so that's not, so take that off the table. We don't know that's been discussed, so it's $3 million, so it leaves $3 million. There's only 3 partners left, us, Osceola, and Volusia.
Well, there's two, I guess, partners from the private side. There's Universal.
Okay.
And there's also the CDD.
Okay,
So that would, assuming that each of them contribute $500,000, then that would be another $1 million.
Okay, so that's $2 million left. And then if the 3 and the private sector could be, then we get the $6 million. Okay, I just wanted to make sure where the numbers were all coming from. So this is so the motion, just to make sure, because I'm fully on board, regionalism, support, working together, but the motion is that, that we would contribute the $500,000 if everybody contributed, or just that we're committing, and then,
I'm not committing everyone, I'm just committing our 500,000.
I said
because-
if everyone committed.
I'm not
or
saying
just-
that,
Okay,
just-
I
I'm
just
not
wanted to
saying
be
that.
clear on the motion. Thank you.
And then the other question that I have is just that for clarity standpoint, because this is a PD&E, there's going to be a lot of questions answered, and one of those questions I'm sure that'll be answered is prop share and who and how the ridership is going to be handled, what that envelope of the corridor is going to be. So there's a lot of questions we have right now that they're great questions, but you're not going to get them answered because the PD&E has not been followed through yet. All those questions will be addressed and answered through that PD&E. And so that's why I think, even though it may not have all our answers at this point, we will be getting them in time. And that's why I'm willing to do this, to figure out what those answers to those questions are.
I think to answer your question about whether the other entities have, are they committed, I'm learning that every governmental entity kind of has their own way of operating, and some of them talk about things very openly and freely, and they've got someone a driving force on their board that moves things forward, and others are a little more passive, and they wait to bring things up at a later time. And so I'm not saying that one method is better than another, but each of the entities certainly have their own respective ways that they operate and make decisions. And frankly, I just figured at this point, Seminole County needs to step up so that we are a part of the contributed column, and maybe through positive peer pressure, it will move others.
It will.
We just,
It will.
yeah. And I would love to be able to answer the prop share questions and all of that, but I think all of that will have to be determined as we go.
Okay. I want to make sure I heard. So 500,000 coming from who in the private sector?
It's been discussed from Universal and the CDD. Now,
So-
what hasn't explicitly been discussed, at least as far as conversations that I've been part of, is whether it's 500,000 each or it's 500,000 between the two.
Sure. So I'm willing to support the motion. My concern is, last conversation I had with the Universal folks were, their prop share of this whole thing was going to be, they were putting up the commercial property, they were going to build the station, and now what I'm hearing is they're going to put up another $500,000 in cash. So I'd like to flush that out if we can get updates on that somehow and understand.
Absolutely.
I think what I'm hearing is somebody's hit the regroup button and we're starting over from a different perspective.
No. I'm sorry if that's the message you heard. That was not the message I intended at all. No, we are finding the most logical path, given the circumstances and the requirements for being eligible for those federal funds, and navigating that got us to this place. There's not been a reset button. It's just as we learn more, there's some tacking that's been done, and will probably continue to be done, frankly.
Sure.
I think to say that we know today exactly what this is going to look like when it's completed, I'd be lying to you if I told you what I thought that was going to be.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just real quickly, a couple things that are coming up. And actually, is someone going to talk about Leadership Seminole and the summit? No?
You attended, correct?
It's coming up. I plan to attend. I am not a Leadership Seminole person, so I appreciate that they're willing to let me attend and participate. And if for anybody else that plans to be there, I will be there on the 31st at the rink at Northland. And then I'll be traveling to Tallahassee next week with the Florida Association of Colleges to fulfill my responsibilities as a trustee at Seminole State, and while I'm there, intend to have some meetings related to county business as well. So I will report back to you on how those all go. And Patty put down here that today, in 1753, Pennsylvania Hospital was the first hospital in the United States, and they began admitting patients, and it was co-founded by Benjamin Franklin.
That's right.
And then juxtaposed to that, today in
Go Eagles.
1975,
Go Eagles.
Amy was born. So a little 1753, a little
And you
1975.
don't want to know the background of some of the experiments that were run on
We probably don't.
No. So what's next?
by
What's
Benjamin
next?
Franklin and his cohorts during those period of time.
He was a wonderful founding father next.
Yes, we'll leave it at that. All right, anything else?
That was,
All right, I'll go District 2 and Chairman's Report, try it all one time. First matter is I have some reappointments to make to the following boards. Veterans Interest, Paul Bertram. Faith-Based Organization, Father John Blewett. Local Area Aging, or Agency on Aging, Carla Radka. Elders Affairs Attorney, Shannon Campbell. It's a motion for all.
What board is that for?
Elders Affairs Attorney.
Elder
Second.
Affairs.
All those in favor?
No,
Aye.
what board is that? I'm sorry, I don't know what board this is.
Elders Affairs Attorneys.
No, she's an elder affairs person, she's an attorney.
Right.
But she's not the attorney for the elder
Correct.
affairs.
Dominic,
Mr. Chairman, it's the Committee on Aging,
Yeah,
all of those appointments.
yeah,
Okay,
There are individual roles within that committee.
correct.
okay.
So, one commissioner has 4 appointments to one board?
No. First one's Veterans Interest. That has nothing to do with aging.
No, I think that's the position on the Committee on Aging. Those are
Okay.
all positions on the Committee on Aging. Right, Dominique, or no?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Okay. So the answer is, I guess if that's the case, I have 4. That's not my understanding, but there you go.
Okay. And so is this committee
They're board
do
appointments.
you have these?
all, are there board appointments, or are they all chair
Yes, ma'am.
appointments?
So the committee meets and they make a recommendation. These are the people they're recommending to you that they would like appointed,
Okay,
board-wide. It's not district-specific.
okay, and then it's brought to you, and then you bring it to the
Gotcha.
board? Okay.
Gotcha.
That's helpful.
Fabulous, okay, good. Now we know.
Yeah, apparently I didn't know. Be nice to know,
Be good to know.
yeah, before you open your mouth. What a concept.
I'd give you a high five to that, but it might hurt your feelings.
No, trust me, nothing hurts my feelings.
you left the hand hanging.
I knew it was funny, though, so.
Can we call the question, Mr. Chairman?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, seeing none. All passes unanimously. Let's see, next is, any of the other commissioners on the teleconference with Governor DeSantis last night?
No.
So the request has been made that we reach out to our legislatures on this special session because the proposed language in the immigration law here in the state of Florida has been for the Commissioner of Agriculture to oversee that rather than the governor or the governor's office. So I bring that to your attention. The questions have been asked. The Commissioner of Agriculture doesn't even have the authority to do these kinds of things. So they've asked, the governor's office is asking if you have a belief or feeling that the governor's office should be the entity handling it under the Florida rules and under the Florida Constitution, that you reach out to legislatures and urge them to consider that in a special session. If not, you can tell them the otherwise. Next up, did you have a question, Commissioner?
No, I think if you want to do that on an individual basis, that's your business.
No, I'm just putting it out there so you all are aware of it. If you were on the call, you would have known what.
How did we get invited to this call? I'm not familiar.
I have no idea.
Well, how did you get invited to the call?
I sent a phone message saying, hey, teleconference on this date, this time.
Commissioner, I did get a phone message from the Republican Party inviting me to be on there too. I did not go on it. I will tell you that, you know, as a former legislator, and I think that there is a lot of good reasons, quite frankly, why the Department of Agriculture and Community and Consumer Affairs would be the right entity to deal with immigration. So just a
Sure.
thought.
Okay. Just put it out there for everybody's knowledge.
Well, I would also just say, I believe the Commissioner on Agriculture currently has law enforcement capabilities, and he has law enforcement under him currently. So I don't know what's happening specifically with the existing food fight, but
Not our
it's not our food fight.
Agreed.
Okay. I'll bring another one up. It's not y'all's food fight, which is the symposium on homeless that I've been asked about. So I've not, quote, put a symposium together. I've been asked by Father John Blewett to meet with charities and have discussions on what works best for each charity to contribute to this community in the way of homelessness. That's based on discussions of him in my office. I think he visited probably everybody's office 2-3 weeks ago. I agreed that I'd be happy to sit down and talk to the charities, not only on homeless, but what charities are doing as a whole within our community. This is not on behalf of the board. This is on behalf of my office. Not only gain knowledge, but have discussion as to what each charity thinks they can bring to the table. So I have a full understanding what they're doing, what their wheelhouse is, and there are multiple people trying to do the same thing. So I have a full understanding of who's doing what. Any questions? Happy to answer them.
No, I would just say, Mr. Chairman, I think all of us would have the ability to do that if we
Sure.
choose to do it.
Right.
As a part of the county, I have talked, and I think others have suggested also, that we have some sort of symposium on the synergism that the various community activists and charities could
Sure.
do, how many marketing directors each need, whatever the case may be. That, I think, is separate from what you're suggesting. And, you know, if that's something that you want to do, that's fine, because I think that any one of us could request that we sit down with charities and say, hey, guys, how can we all work together?
Right. Absolutely.
Just
Just come on down the dais. Looks like Commissioner Lockhart had her hand.
Well, so when you say you're doing it on behalf of your office, you mean as an individual commissioner?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
If my memory strikes me right, I believe that the county, it may have been in 2012 or 2014, we partnered with Leadership Seminole, and we did a year study, or a year and a half study, I don't remember the time frame. We spent quite a bit of money, and we talked about the homeless, and we talked about how to best serve the homeless, and there was all these agencies as well as organizations. We may want to either refresh that or update it or dust it off and look at it. But it was around the 2012 timeframe, I think?
It was.
Don't hold me to that year.
15.
What?
It was 15.
Okay, I wasn't too far off then,
Yep.
sorry.
Cool.
But I wasn't on leadership Seminole at that time, but I do know that the county did pay for it.
Sure.
And I do know that the county put a lot of effort into it. We may want to brush that off and revisit it.
Well, I suspect a lot of entities have changed. Some of them probably gone away, some have probably new ones, some have maybe joined forces, who knows? I intend to try to figure all that out. Commissioner Hurd, you had something?
The way you represent it and the way it's being represented in the community are two different things. The way it was heard at mayors and managers is different from the way you represented it, so I appreciate that you clarified it, but the way it's being portrayed out there, I did speak to Father Blewett. I think I was the last in the food chain, because it was very recently, was that you are hosting, not hosting, but you are chairing on behalf of the county commission a symposium, and of course, you can imagine I was surprised to hear that. That's
Sure.
why I brought it up. So the clarification is important, and I think how we represent out in the community in terms of when it's individually versus in the role that you sit in for this board is an important distinction.
Sure.
So there's been lots of chatter post the mayors and managers discussion and lots of phone calls into my office about what are you doing, and me saying I have no idea.
Sure. Well, I have no control what somebody might say and what they interpret. I try to make myself as clear as possible. Maybe I'll get them to all sign some kind of agreement that is this person in District 2 doing that. Maybe that will be helpful. Well, I understand the concern, but I can't control the narrative beyond that. Finally, when it comes to the situation with the Leadership Seminole, I appreciate the fact you're going to attend, because I'm unable to attend as the appointee because I didn't get notice from them, and there was going to be a whole day seminar until 10 days before, which my schedule doesn't fit into. So anything you can glean for that and bring back and share, we'd sincerely appreciate.
Hey, Chairman, and
As the former board representative on that, I was getting those notices, so it's planned months in advance, but part of that is because the way we transition, I've had meetings I couldn't make either in the transition.
Sure.
And we do, the county has a table, so if any, I know we've reached out, my office reached out to each of your offices if you were interested, and I know some of you cannot, and I know Commissioner Lockhart is attending. So
Sure.
if there's any interest, it's this Friday. Just let me know
And just for
ASAP.
clarification, I
31st.
can't be there because of a Kids House fundraiser that I have to be at. So I can't be there.
Very good. All right, we will go to public input on items that are not on the agenda. Just Dominique, or anyone here to speak on items that were not on the agenda today?
Yes, sir. We have two speakers, Christine Dupree and Daniel Sherman.
Christine, if you'll come up. And Daniel, if you'll get ready. You'll each have 3 minutes. If you will give us your name and address first, and then proceed with the topic you desire to bring before us.
Hello. All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Christine Dupree. My address is 3487 Woodley Park Place in Oviedo. We are here today because this is my team, part of my team behind me. I will let them introduce themselves, but we are with an organization called One More Child, and we are an anti-trafficking team, mobile team, and we cover Seminole and Brevard County. January is anti-trafficking month, so we have been working really hard, tirelessly in red sand events throughout the counties, and also just bringing awareness to the communities. Our team covers, like I said, Seminole and Brevard counties. We have about 41 open cases. We cover from age 0, all the way up to 26, and we provide wraparound services for our clients. We get referrals through DCF and all different other community partners. And another thing that we do as well is we work with the community in training, and I'll let Angelica, our advocate, explain that. But human trafficking is a critical issue, and over the hotline call, the national hotline call, in 2023 alone, there was 2,100 human trafficking cases reported, and 1,600 of those involve children, which is our most vulnerable population. And so I just wanted to bring this issue to your attention and let you know that we are always looking to get into our schools, public or faith-based organizations, colleges, to do trainings and just spread awareness in any way that we can. So I'm going to turn it over to Angelica.
Hello, I'm Angelica. I live in 1010 Hart Branch Drive, Oviedo, Florida. But like you said, I am the advocate on the team, so we do provide case management. So we give resources to clients. A lot of these clients are homeless. So we do provide help with that as well. We are very big on community outreach and awareness. So we have been having a little pushback with getting into Seminole County schools. A lot of them don't respond to emails. So if you guys have any contacts, that would be very helpful for us. We're just looking to spread awareness. A lot of these things are happening through social media. It's not, kidnapping your children and trafficking them. It's people's boyfriends, people's girlfriends that are trafficking them, even in foster homes, adoptive parents. We have cases like that as well. So we're really just trying to spread awareness on that, and especially in high schools as well. There's a lot of issues that are coming up. Most of our clients are minors, under 18, a lot of 16-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So if you guys have any partners, Seminole County schools, I would love to hear who we can contact to just spread more awareness on it. But yeah. Thank you so much. And we have our mentor here, Miss Yolanda, as well. She's the one that directly works with our clients, but I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Yolanda James, and I reside at 841 Sonora Road in Melbourne, Florida. I am the peer mentor for the team, and basically my position is once we are able to get in contact with the survivors, I go to their homes and I teach them life skills, pray, also travel around with them if they have to go to different events, and just uplifting them back into the community. So that's what we do.
Thank you. A question. Didn't the sheriff's office just have an initiative with your organization at it? Like a week ago?
We had speakers from our organization there sharing their
Okay.
testimonies. Yeah.
And the sheriff's office has a task force. Are you working with them?
We work with a few human trafficking detectives, mostly out of Altamont. But yes, we do work closely with the sheriff's department.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because I thought your organization was at the sheriff's initiative for the trafficking.
Yeah, that was our
safe-
Red Sand event.
Safe zones and so forth. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Constant, you had a question?
I just wanted to, if you did not know, we also approved a proclamation this morning about Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Okay.
So that was done this morning unanimously on consent calendar.
Yeah, that's amazing. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Well,
it's
thank-
definitely a critical issue, and we're trying to bring more awareness to it.
Great.
It's one of those topics that people don't always want to talk about, but we need to talk about, so.
Sure. Thank you very much for your input on these items and your awareness and working in this realm. We sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next up is Daniel. Yes, sir, welcome. Your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. My name is Daniel Earl Sherman. My address is 236 Afton Square, Unit 202, located in Altamont Springs, Florida. I'm coming up here today just to, basically be a whisper in your ear with regards to the concerns that are in our community of Seminole County. And it can go back as far as our library systems. Initially, in 2015, I reached out to the library administration team to be a part of their board, just to voice the opinion of the underrepresented and underadvantaged, to say the least. And to, my surprise, nothing has been done in the regards to, based upon the suggestions that I've made. Therefore, after speaking with Ms. Christine Patton, she said, that's out of my hands. You can reach out to someone else in the regards. I did so via email as well. I spoke with Mr. Richard Durr. I've spoken to Mr. Lee Constantine. I've reached out to Mr. Darren Gray as well to, communicate these things with his office. But just to no avail, nothing has transpired. I believe Mr. Bob Diller was there when I was at the initial meeting of the master plan with Godfrey and Associates when they had the initial meeting over in just outside of Vito. And I was totally demolished during that time frame of communication, just trying to voice the concern and understanding of the disadvantaged, the disabled, and I was still shut down. So I'm still here, advocating for my community, because if a person has the ability to think, we shouldn't be forced on a football field, or we shouldn't be forced on a baseball field, or we shouldn't be forced on a construction site to work on a labor force because we don't have an opportunity of employment. We shouldn't be forced to go to CSL Plasma to donate plasma because we don't have any money. Therefore, all it's leaving us to do is to basically solicit ourselves for whatever opportunities that there can be. But because of how the law is structured here in Seminole County or Florida itself, if we get fired, we get fired. It is what it is. It's the state of Florida. If we're going to let you go, we'll let you go. So without that understanding understanding of community control that I believe should be led by our commissioners and our administration team of great leadership as it relates to, reaching back to community members and saying, hey, we hear you, we know what's going on, and we got your back, and we're going to work with you day by day. If we can't work with you directly, we'll get a staff member to work with you day by day, and we'll check in with you. That would be great, but it doesn't happen. So much to the fact that I've reached out to Mr. James Garatos of our IT department for our library systems, and I voiced him a concern of basically how penetrable our IT or our internet is, or our connectivity as it relates to using the internet services and such forth due to the advancements of AI technology. The same AI technology that I use within our own Seminole County staff members, and I was able to show the inconsistencies of the administration decisions, the inconsistencies as it relates to the decisions being made on our library administration team, and the inconsistencies as it relates to our resources, and they're not being utilized successfully for all individuals in the community to use as well. So with my technology, I was able to show this. Also, I was able to intercept messages from Ms. Patton's office to show that, hey, they're selling books that I'm not even reading. As a matter of fact, when I give a donation dollar to the library, where does the money go? Nobody knows. And that's an issue when the library needs money, and the library needs better equipment, better computers, just a whole revamp, because I feel like we're still in the 70s and the 80s in the library, and it's 2025. We're beyond Excel spreadsheets.
Thank you, sir, very much. Appreciate your thoughts. Anyone else here to speak in open forum?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close the public input. Anything else for the good of the order by the commission? Seeing none, we shall be adjourned. Thank you.